Welcome to the Fantasy Golf Bag Podcast, presented by FantasyGolfBag.com, your number one source for the most in-depth PGA Tour analysis in the daily fantasy and sports betting world. Each week, our experts will discuss everything you need to know, from the course preview and key stats to top plays, fades, and strategies. Whether golf betting, grinding out cash games, or playing for a big GPP win, our team has you covered. Let's get after it.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Fantasy Golf Bag Podcast. It is your host, Axis, aka Fantasy Jesus, and I am joined by Sky of the Golf Gurus to talk to you about the Scottish Open. Going to be played at the Renaissance Golf Club 1 week from the Open. A bunch of PGA regulars have come over to show their face. Rory is in attendance. Couldn't be bothered to go to Ireland last week, but he is in Scotland. And JT, Kuchar, Fowler, the other big names over there. Stenson went over there. So I'm really looking forward to this event. A lot to get through. Sky, what are your immediate thoughts? Scottish Open.
Absolutely, man. The field is rocking. I'm excited to see everybody get over there to Scotland and get tuned up for a heck of a week at the Open coming up here too. No, I think this course looks beautiful from the pictures that we've seen. And again, getting to see American PGA players come over and play links golf, I really enjoy to kind of see where their odds fall, their salaries, and how they line up against some of these European Tour only guys that we've been playing quite a bit. So no, I think it's going to be a great week in store.
I agree. And before we really dive into it, a couple notes. One, there will be a Europe Listener League, so we will get that link out for everybody. It'll be in the description of the podcast as well. We're going to roll that out. I believe it's 20 people this week. See how it goes. Then obviously we'll have a decent-sized Listener League for the Open next week. And then also all of the strokes gain stats that we will be referencing throughout the podcast for both Euro and PGA. We have them both. If you go to Fantasy Golf Bag, you can sign up for either PGA or Euro or combined. Choose your own adventure at Fantasy Golf Bag. So, and then you get access to the premium Slack chat, some sharp minds in there. So without further ado, let's just jump on in. We're going to the Renaissance Club in North Berwick, Scotland. It's right on the coast, the East Coast, and looked up the weather because it is a links golf course. The weather looks pretty docile for Thursday, Friday, and most of the weekend. If you saw Justin Thomas's Instagram video this morning, you would think otherwise. He is currently practicing in some large droplet rain and wind. It looks like that will disappear, but again, make sure to check the weather before when this would start late or early Thursday. So before you go to bed on Wednesday, just check the weather one more time just in case. So again, the Renaissance Club in Scotland, it is a par 71, about 7,300 yards. Interesting enough though, par 71, 4 par 5s, 5 par 3s. So that's a little different. Are you going to do anything with that information, Sky? Will that change how you weight anything a little bit differently?
Yeah, I think it's interesting with the 5 par 3s that you talk about. You never see that. So, and when you mention that a couple of the par 4s are going to be extremely tough, you're really working in about only 9 of the par 4s. So I think factoring in par 3 scoring, just a little bit of a weight. We have weighted par 3 scoring for the European Tour data available. So I'm definitely going to factor it in a little bit. I think it could play just a little bit of a twist. But outside of that, man, I mean, really looking at how we saw last week play out, it was interesting in just seeing how important around the green play was. You're, of course, going to be striking it there. But being around the green, being able to save yourself like Eddie did, for three of the days, basically, and gave himself a run at it on Sunday. But you're going to have to make some creative shots around the green. So being able to basically have every facet of your game in line is just what I'm going to look at. Talk to me about the fairways a little bit, though. You did some in-depth research in regards to the rough and how the fairways are going to be reacting, because I think driving accuracy can be more important than usual on a links course.
Yep. So I was digging through Google, and then actually Ben Coley tweeted out his article, and that was helpful because in there was a link to ukgolfguy.com. Shout out to him for the hard work he puts in. So he had an article about the Renaissance Club for the Scottish Open this week and had talked to the designer architect Tom Doak about certain aspects of it. And from what Doak originally did, he thinks it's going to play a lot more narrow this week. And due to all the rain, and it's been a very wet June on the east side of Scotland, I guess, so he thinks the rough is going to be thicker than usual, not necessarily that wispy rough. So it could be a little more penal than usual, but it seems like it's going to play fairly long and tight. It is a very linksy look. If you look at the photos, it also has some trees though that you wouldn't be used to, but they decided to leave them. Kind of adds to the character of the course. But if you want to look that up and even read through it, it's at ukgolfguide.com. It's a pretty solid article. But more or less, it seems like it's going to play like a typical links course. The rough just might be a little thicker than some are used to due to all of the rain. So I think just all around game as usual for a links course. Tee to green and hope your guy hits some putts.
Yeah, and people talked about it not being a true links course, like you said. Like Answer said in one of his post-round interviews last week that he wasn't specifically going to play this because they didn't say that it matched up to Portrush as much. But from the pictures and everything, I think links golf. I trust the reason that Kuchar and JT and others are going to be playing over there is because the style of golf is still a great tune-up for the Open. So we're in for another pleasure of watching it on TV. So I'm again looking forward and ready to dive in.
Yeah, I can't say if it will play like Portrush. I actually really haven't looked into Portrush all that much yet, but judging from the photos of this course, I don't know. Might not be your typical links in the fact that it has some trees and stuff, but it looks very much a links course. And I think, yeah, it'll be very enjoyable to watch. So we'll dive in here, starting at the top. Above 10K, you got Rory at 11.8, Ricky 11.2, Kuchar 11, JT 10.4, Stenson at 10,000 even. So when I first looked at this, normally you can jam a guy in the Euro from up here, but it made it a little more difficult on you this week. But I think Kuchar stood out the most, just having a slight discount from Rory and Ricky, but has quite the links pedigree if you go back through his history, and his tee to green game has been solid all year, and he's just playing really good golf. So honestly, at first glance, Kuchar at 11K really stood out to me.
Yeah, it is definitely interesting up here. I'm surprised. You're going to go with Kuchar because you've been riding JT like I've never seen before over the last few months.
Well, I bet him at 20
since he came back. Okay, there it is. So since he came back from injury, and again, the discounted price. Who would have thought you would have saw JT at 20-1 and 33-1 or 45? What you see next week, these numbers on him make it interesting. But no, I'm still not fully there. I think where I come into the links play is really intrigued by Stenson's pedigree that he has. He rates out for me gaining over 2 strokes per round on the field on links courses since 2014. So, that's top of the class when I'm kind of looking at some of those courses that we mentioned last week, British, Scottish, the Open, we talked about British Masters as well, the Alfred Dunhill links, like those type of courses that we look in. Stenson's in 28 rounds gaining over 2.1 strokes on the field. So to me, I really, really like him. If I'm going to take the savings, I think he's worth it at 10K personally.
Yeah, he'd be the next one for me, just again with his background and history on links courses as well. You could talk me into playing JT again. One of the best golfers in the world, 10-4. The only thing that's holding him back right now is his putter. So that's a common theme of who people play in DFS. Ricky's played well at links.
Yeah, there it is.
It's just the price. I don't know.
Yeah.
11-2, honestly, I don't know. And Rory's got the same problem with his lack of links pedigree, really. But if there's really going to be no wind, I'm not. It's just 11-8's tough unless you can really get down to some of these other guys that you like.
The only one for me that's of the top that's not good or hasn't shown on links is JT. You know what I mean? Like the other guys are top 5, all of them for me, or top 6 in the links category stats. So you're just kind of piecemeal it together. I mean, Ricky probably could be the lowest owned of them. I don't know. Does he have the narrative that he plays good on links and people buy
I think
in?
he does, and he's just, I don't know. If anything, it just could be the price, because if people aren't normal playing Euro, and they will be this week, like if you plug one of these 11K guys in, you're going to start having to play guys you've never heard of if you don't follow the tour, and that could, I don't know.
For sure. It's just absurd how, just looking at my like 10T stats, you kind of look and see like Rory, Kuchar, Stenson all playing great right now statistically, and then Ricky and JT kind of have that drop off on it. JT was factored by the injury, but he's been much better in the 5 tournaments when Ricky still struggled there. So I don't see myself going there. I think Stenson's my definite number 1.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. So we'll go into the 9K range. There's not a ton of golfers here either, but it's headlined by Wallace at 9.7, Rafa Cabrera Bello at 9.5, Fitzpatrick making an appearance at 9.3, Hot Fire Keimer 9.2, Terrell Hatton 9.1, and Eddie Pep 9K even. What are you looking at in the 9K range?
Man, I would like to say Keimer is my number 1. Not even buying into narratives. Again, he played strong last week. His ball striking has been great leading in here. And the narrative I talk about is he's not in the Open still. So, we're going to have 3 spots remaining to be able to go get him his spot at Portrush. So, I mean, he is statistically showing well in relation to that. I want to say, Hatton, man, like I was so in on Hatton last week due to his links pedigree, and he just flat out played miserable over the 2 days.
I swear he's missed the cut every time I've played him this year, on both tours. Like, it's insane.
So, I mean, kind of staying away from there. I mean, Eddie looked great, back from there. I mean, he didn't play. I don't think his ball striking was where I'd want to see it, but last week I think it was a little bit more of a risk us taking the shot there. But I mean, he still almost gained 2 strokes tee to green per round. It was just simply, carrying himself around the green a lot more. But that just happens at links courses, So I would say for me, Keimer 1, Eddie 2.
Yeah, this is a range where I think a lot of people will start their lineups here probably.
Mm-hmm.
I highlighted Rafa again. The back 9 implosion was not great to see, but again, he was there and he scored enough. Like at 9.5, he's got the pedigree. The tee to green game has been solid. It is funny that he plays decently well at links court. His short game's never been great, but with, I guess, the complex of link style courses, it doesn't need to be as precise, bump and run, whatnot. And I did watch him absolutely just chunk a chip. That was disheartening.
He's so good at putting from off the green.
Yeah.
I don't
know. I highlighted him and then Keimer as well. I think Keimer will be very popular at that price.
For
if I
sure.
had to guess.
That's
so my debate is if I go back to Hatton, like, do I really want him to just punch me in the gut again? Everything lines up again, so that'll be a tough choice between Hatton, Eddie P, and Keimer there at the lower 9K range. I could play all 3 if I wanted to.
Yeah, and I think where we get interesting too is getting into these 8Ks here, like.
Yeah, because I could play Hautong again too. He did outstanding for me last week.
Yeah,
and his price didn't budge.
He's a birdie machine too. You have a 20. Just say he finishes. What did he finish last week? 19th, 20th, maybe.
Yeah, but he had 98 DraftKings points or something. 92.
Yeah,
I can't remember.
Like he's an absolute machine when it comes to birdie or better rate. So that's where when I get in these 8Ks, Byrne has been playing outstanding over the last 10 tournaments. He's the best. Let's see, with an actual sample size, so he's played 6 tournaments now. His sample size has been great. He's shown he's back from injury. Obviously at the win, qualified and played decent at Pebble Beach. For 8,800, I think Byrne is a great value there. And then we even get deeper. Sullivan played phenomenal last week too, and we know English Many plays great on links. That 8K is loaded.
Yeah, I'm going to be pretty different on this one. I think I'm not as high on Burned I think he's actually slightly overpriced. I know he's been playing well, but even his recent form for me, I just don't have him quite as high up there. I think Sullivan is slightly overpriced as well. I think that's boosted from his performance last week. He's had a pretty solid year. I've used him quite a bit. I just think in this field, I can do bet like Kisner's right below him at 8-6. I think Kisner's a better golfer. Lorenzo Vera been on fire.
That's who I was going to say. I really like Lorenzo Vera again.
And then I can get to Knox and EVR at 8.3 and 8.2. So I really like Knox. Again, Scottish guy. I think at that price he'll probably be another very popular golfer this week, if I had to guess.
I'm not letting myself ride the Lee Westwood roller coaster. I'm not. I can't do it.
No, I thought he was a fine play last week, and it panned. But with this deeper field, he definitely got pushed down my ratings. But at the price, so I can't play him at 8,400 this week.
No, and I mean that weekend was so hard to track. Like he couldn't birdie anything.
No,
and it's shown on that. I mean, we were looking at the track record. I mean, he's known for not playing great on Sundays. Like it's. Yeah, I just can't ride it when I like MLV and I statistically I do agree. Looking at like models, Byrne and Sullivan are not rating out as high as like MLV does for me, or definitely not as high as Hautong. Statistically, we've just seen quality play out of Sullivan and Wiesberger, so I just think that's interesting range. I like Knox, like you talk about. I mean, we're talking about everybody here. It came to fruition last week, but Jordan Smith doesn't stop topping models again. You know what I mean? But it was nice to see him. I played in high dollar, and he was like 80% owned in a 5-man. And fortunately, I was the one that didn't play him, and he missed the cut. Unfortunately, 3 other of my guys missed the cut, so it didn't pay off.
Is the most average golfer. Like you said, you can look at his stats all you want, but I don't know. I literally have him rated as like the epitome of what an average golfer is.
Yeah, I would much rather pay to get up.
Which in this field is actually okay, but it's not 80. I mean, at 8K, I'd rather play guys in the 7K.
Down, to 7Ks. I really, really like the high 7K range.
I mean, I did it last week with Answer, and I think this week I'm going to go back to playing some Putnam as well. Another mid-tier PGA guy coming over who's more talented than most of this field at 7,700. So, yeah, Andrew Putnam for me. I did bet him at 100 to 1 also.
Oh, it's a quality number.
I mean, I have no links data for him, so, I mean, it could crash and burn, but just, I don't know, worked out. At some point, your talent still outweighs the periphery stats. Jesus Christ, making up words.
There's 3 guys that I love in the top 7K range. I'm going to bet them all.
Bobby Mack.
Of course. I mean, if you saw, he literally said, I'll pull up the quote here as we talk. But he's paired with
Rahm. Can I guess the other one, too? I'm going to go Dietrich.
No.
Ooh. They're not Dietrich lately. High 7s, huh? Waring's done well.
There's one.
Yeah.
There's one.
You're going to go back to Gavin Green.
Yeah. Yep. But to go on Bobby Mack first, his exact quote: "The Scottish Open is the one I've always dreamed, is the one I've always wanted to win. It's what I dreamed of as a little kid. Paired with Rory and Ricky, like, come on now. I know you bet him at 100. I got him on 80. So I'm really into Bobby Mack, of course. And last week he was second in ball striking. He just couldn't putt. We never got to see him play. That's the tough part about this. Like, you don't shot track. You only see them probably unless they have an extremely great shot approach in, or if they're holding a putt. You don't really see
pretty well
these guys
throughout the year.
For sure, it was just kind of an anomaly when he's done well on links courses too. So I'm into Bobby Mack. I love Paul Waring. He showed out well last week again. So I mean, he ended up finishing, I believe, 7th.
Man.
So I'm gonna bet.
Sorry to cut you out. We're just gonna know really quick what kind of week Bobby's gonna have. Playing with Rory and Ricky, like I feel like those first 9 could be really indicative of how he's gonna handle that.
Yeah,
Like,
and I mean,
that's.
we haven't seen any pressure. He played,
I mean,
in a final
he
pairing
he
at Maine and
T2'd what,
Denmark.
Denmark and British. Like, it's, yeah. Didn't he shank one on 18?
17, yeah. But then he birdied 8, and then he came back. Yeah, he was close. I mean, and he also, you remember how he came down the British Masters? He birdied like 3 of the
I
last
mean,
5
hopefully, I'm sure he's
holes.
learned from it. He's young. I mean, I don't know. I'll just be very curious to see hometown kid getting shoved in a 3-ball with Ricky and Rory.
For sure. No, I agree. But yeah, I'm not going to shy away.
Oh, I'm in.
I'm into him. Talking on Waring still, he had a 7th last week, a 6th at the British Masters earlier this year. I think the 80-1 that's out there is a great number. He's looking really good statistically when I'm kind of looking at it, topping the 10T model for me on European only stats. So I'm into Waring. And then Gavin Green is just such an intriguing player to me. I have never really dipped my toes into playing him often, but tracking him because I was in some head-to-heads or those small GPPs that people played him, he is just a DraftKings monster. Like, he might go birdie, birdie, bogey, 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 birdie, birdie, birdie. Like, that's just the way he does it. So I'm into him just due to his DraftKings scoring. I'm going to dip in. Just I think 80-1's a decent number too, but I really like him on DraftKings.
Yeah, he rates. Where is he for me? Recent form. Obviously, the recent form's pretty solid. I think I got him 18th in the field with everybody, so that's pretty good overall. I don't know if I'll be dipping the toe on Gavin Green though, unless I make multiple lineups. I'd throw him in there, but definitely Bobby Mack for me, Andrew Putnam, and I really didn't highlight much else here. I think Waring is an interesting case. Just because of the form. Surrey is annoying. Because again, I think he's better than 7,600, but
I can't.
I don't know if I can do it again this week. That was painful, but I think I will probably go back to Andrea Pavon. I used him last week, so again, I can go right back to him at 7,500 and be pretty happy overall. The tee to green game has been a little shaky, mainly due to off the tee, but overall the rest of the game has been pretty solid, and I don't know, maybe the off the tee really kills him this week. That's my only hiccup with Pavon down there.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, Thomas Peters missed the cut last week, but he couldn't putt to save his life. Yeah, it really is. Like, I think he could be a really sneaky one.
I used him last week too. That sucked.
Yeah, I mean, if he could, man, yeah, he could make some putts. I don't know if it's worth. I mean, in that $8. I mean, they did $8 150 max for the first time since the Trophy Hassan, I believe. And I think that was at $10. This is the first $8 150 max of the year. I think it's interesting piecing him in. I'm probably going to find myself doing that 333 up there, which is a nice 5K to top, smaller contest, and some cues that are interesting. But I don't know if it's worth the risk there. But I don't see myself going anywhere else in the 7Ks outside of those 3, or in the top 7Ks outside of those 3 I mentioned. Low 7Ks, man, remember?
I mean, I highlighted Sterney again. I used him last week. Victor Dubuisson, 7.4K. He's just plugged along. I mean, you look at the stats and you're just like, okay, like doesn't have a win or anything, but he's kind of just plugged along all season. You know, we got 42 rounds for him. It's not a tiny sample, so I clicked him. Ryan Fox is always intriguing. Again, just the Lynx pedigree, but woof. I mean,
he's literally like 2 percentile on my 5T model.
And then
you know what's sad? Remember when Man Rocket was
9K in these fields,
and like he was winning Lynx tournaments, and I mean, it just makes me so sad thinking about that. I mean, it's been a while.
He's not been good.
But
I don't know what happened. He got that special status on PGA, and he's just been shit.
Yeah, ever since pretty much the Masters.
Yeah,
pretty much since he beat Tiger. Like,
got to his head.
He showed a little bit in Masters, but
got to his head. Yeah,
so
beat Tiger, one of the best looking golfers in the world. And then, boom,
it's
the world knocks you back.
It does. What's absurd to me is and my 5 tournament models, looking at the European Tour side, the number 1 golfer I have is Eduardo Molinari, Dodo.
Yeah, I was going to
He's
mention
been
him.
playing solid.
I was going to bring him up, like just over again. It's the off the tee game for him, but like the rest of his game is it's very middling. But it's I don't know. He's got the short game for links golf. I mean,
I believe as far as I'm going back, he hasn't missed a cut in 3 months. 9th, 26th, 3rd in the last 3 events. At the British Masters, he was quality ball striking too. Just couldn't make a putt there, and then he comes out and gets 9th at a links event. He's showing some life.
He's definitely playing above his head. That's for sure.
Oh, no doubt. It's to your point. When does it come crashing back, or do we still keep running those checks in and try to see 7,300s? He was 6,600 last week, so they're increasing this price. So you hope ownership doesn't follow with a price increase like that. But yeah, I'm kind of intrigued by there. And man, outside of that, I'm not gonna probably, since I'm focusing on single entry. Oh man, I don't see anyone that's truthfully jumping that I need to be like. Considering
Siwoo at 7K is interesting. Just there's zero chance he's not better than these guys down here. Like he is.
Yeah.
It's just what Siwoo are you gonna get? Like if you're making multiple lineups, you have to play him at 7K.
Yeah, no. With the upside, he's being priced next to like kind of
Zanatti
European
and
Tour.
Chester's, like he's better. He's better than that.
Alfaro Quiros is kind of like the European Tour Siwoo a little bit, where he just pops out of nowhere and wins, and he's priced right there at 7K. But
Siwoo's
staying away from
recent
Quiros.
form has been crap, so I'm assuming that's
so bad.
That's a majority of this price. But yeah, if you're going off long-term form, there's zero chance he should be 7K.
Yeah, and again, if I'm dipping down here, you're clearly not going to be finding somebody who is in like phenomenal form.
No,
like there's a reason they're priced down here. You're kind of looking at the upside. I think Nicholas Lemke, after what he did, he fell flat kind of on the weekend, but he had a top 10 from my understanding, I believe. I think he got 8th at the British Masters. He didn't finish 34th last week, but he's made 3 out of his last 6 cuts. And hung around that top 10 for quite a bit. On another links course, did well on the Challenge Tour on another links course. So it's kind of interesting to see him all the way down at, let's see, he's priced at 6,500. I would just try to find like links specialists that just aren't in good form. Like you're just not going to be able to find him in good form realistically at that price.
The only guy down here and his form on the PGA Tour really hasn't been great is Affy Barnrat. Was interesting because he's another guy who just didn't. I don't know. I was going when I filtered by my long term stuff. He was very underpriced. But
so one thing I saw about Affy is that on Instagram he's been complaining and putting posts that his knee has not been feeling great.
Oh,
like
ever
working
since
his way back
at the Masters.
Yeah, so he played a couple right after, and then he took some time off, and he said it's still working his way back. So I don't know how the Thai translation is. If Instagram is exactly correct on the wording, but it's just saying he's having some troubles with his knee.
That would make complete sense actually as to why he's it was cool to see Harrington get off to a hot start last week, but that faded quickly back to the below average golfer he has been. So
if I filter into just like the 6Ks, let's just say here, 6Ks and links strokes gain field differential on my end. So let's go here. The number 1 is Lemke. Again, he's only got 8 rounds. But if we find some people that have some sample size, let's see here. Chris Wood, that was kind of interesting to hear his comment saying he couldn't even like lift a pillow, you were saying, right?
Yeah, it was something weird that I had read. He had some serious injury or ails, like whatever was causing it was pretty serious. The one. So I'll keep going. So I'm gonna go. So you have Kelton, who again, these guys are so hit or miss. Dredge is next, but the one that's interesting here that pops 5th for it, and might be worthy of like a T10 bet. And if you're gonna mix them in, it's Gallagher. And what did you said that Gallagher's a longtime member here? Yeah, so in that article, actually it was Ben Coley's article, he mentioned that Gallagher was, just a longtime member. So I don't know. Sometimes you want to weigh, but like it sounds like this course is going to play pretty similar. Like it doesn't like when the PGA Tour comes to town, like they not mess up, but they drastically change these courses. So guys who are members, you're not always playing it at the PGA Tour, however the PGA Tour setup, if you will. So, but with this course, like in the other article, it seems like they had it built specifically in mind to host tour events. So, maybe Gallagher has actually seen it in these conditions plenty of times. So it's something to consider. He is a golfer that has strange course history as far as he will pop out of zero form at particular courses in the desert. And he won this year too at Hero, yeah. There's another course he just popped, but he's finished fourth in out of the last 10 Scottish Opens. Top 10 in the last 4 out of the last 10. I think he's top 10. I think I have that number right, or maybe 6 out. Yeah. Either way, so yeah, he's definitely someone. Again, multiple lineups. He's someone that you should probably play in a few of those.
It's wild. You look at, so you just pull up his top performances on OWGR, and 4 of the top 6 are at the Omega Dubai Desert Classic.
Yeah, that was
wild.
Yeah, it's.
But
and he does it out of nowhere there.
I mean, it's 2004, but he did win the Links Championship in his career too. But yeah, so I think it's just kind of interesting to see him in that angle and cheap. It's, single entry. You got to have some absolute stones if you're really going to roll him out there at 6,600 in that. But no, I don't think we have to scrape the bottom like we did. I would absolutely love to see Guido string more together like he did those opening 6 holes last week when I thought he was going to win the tournament by 15.
That guy. I mean, we're free rolling him the rest of the year, but
we're free rolling.
That guy is so up and down when his putter is off. He's one of the worst putters I've seen. So he did get a little airtime last week. Forget what morning it was, but it was
the I think it was the opening tournament, the opening day, because he was 3 under through 6 or 7.
Oh yeah, he was striping it, and then the putter I watched him miss this 3-footer. I could have thrown a remote. It was holy shit, man. And then he shot 7 over the next day, but it was all due to lack of putting. I mean, it was terrible.
He's
will not recommend this week for.
No, I'm going to bet 300 to 1. Without a doubt, I'm going to bet that.
Naturally,
but I'm not going to be risking a DraftKings and single 3 max Qs type of things. No, but no, that's kind of how I'm looking at it, man. That's really where I stand overall.
Yeah, I did not get very deep down into here, which probably means, I don't know, it could be tough to squeeze in some of those upper tier guys, but it'll be interesting this week because you're definitely going to get non-Euro followers into some of these events because, like you said, they did juice them up. There's some big ones. They don't really run 70-man 333s very often. And like you said, the Qs, they boosted up the $100 single entry for the first time in a while. So it's definitely time to try to take advantage. So just ignore 100%. The entire podcast that you just listened to and go with just your gut. Just do it.
It's going to be a blast to watch and kind of go through. And again, this is the best time of the year on the European Tour. Loving people that are going to come and play for their first time or continue to dive in. That's what we're here. And just think, truthfully, it's 4 more weeks on the PGA Tour until the FedEx Cup playoffs hit. And then what we're going to get is a Rolex series to end the fall in Europe. And you're going to see some of these guys continue to come and play over. You're going to see these GPPs hopefully juiced. I know it's tough against football season, but
just start following
we've got the stats, man.
Just start following now. Stats. Sign up for especially in the fall. If you don't want to do the fall swing, you can, like I said, Euro. You can go to fantasygolfbag.com and just do the Euro only for the Rolex series. You won't regret it. Tons of great information. And again, we're going to have a Euro Listener League that we'll tweet out, and it will be in the link to the podcast as well. So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to this week. And then, it's just going to lead in right into my second favorite tournament of the year behind the Masters. I just love everything about the Open. When it's on TV, the links style court, I'm ready.
We're in store for some great one, man. No, I appreciate it, and good luck to everybody this week.